On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with best-selling author of Beach Money, Jordan Adler, about early failures in his career and why it's important to push out good. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and I am so excited, so honored to be joined today by my guest, Jordan Adler. Jordan Adler is a network marketing expert. He's the author of the best-selling book, Beach Money, and he's the top earner at Sendout Cards. And he is a guy who was gracious enough to meet me at a couple of events, which was pretty cool, too. So, Jordan, thank you so much for joining me.
You bet, Kirby. It was great to run into you the other day in Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, speaking of the book Beach Money, you kind of openly reference some of your failures, in your early business life and how you overcame them. So, what are some of the lessons you learned from some of those early failures?
Well, probably the number one lesson is that your struggle is your story, and one of the reasons that I've done well in network marketing is because I've got a great story, and the story is that I spent 10 years with 11 different network marketing companies, just getting in and out of companies and trying different things and falling flat on my face. I mean, I didn't sign up a single distributor for my first 10 years, 11 companies. And I have lots of stories that went with that, and at the age of 34 years old, I was living in a $200 a month garage in Tempe, Arizona, and with $36,000 in credit card debt, and the airline that I worked for had just filed bankruptcy and cut my pay in half. So there were a lot of lessons I learned that along the way that really helped. When I would tell those stories, it would inspire people because, they would say, well, my situation really isn't quite as bad as Jordan's was, and so that inspired people. So I think one of the big lessons was that, that your struggle, it creates the lift. Your struggle, it's like lift comes from volatility. Lift comes from that differential between, what you were going through and where you ended up. So, that was probably one of the big things. And then also, my strategy for success for the first 10 years in business was to quit and quit what I was doing and then join a new company and then quit that and then join a new company and then quit that and join a new company. And I was always basing my choices as to whether I was going to work my business on how I was feeling in any given day or month or week. And so I decided that quitting wasn't a great, I didn't decide this, I learned it. Quitting wasn't a great strategy for success. And so there's never been a book called How to Quit Your Way to Success. And and so I stopped quitting things because that was my pattern for probably 25 years. 25 years. That was my pattern, was to quit everything that I got involved in. And so I decided I was going to stick with whatever I got involved in because I was excited about it at some point, and then learn the lessons that I needed to learn along the way. And so, the last two projects I've been involved in have been for over 10 years, and the result of that is every time I have a setback, I'm able to break through it and grow to a new level. And so, those are some of the big lessons in this struggle.
Boy, and I tell you what, those are great lessons regardless of what industry you're in, right? Those resonate for sure. And just real quickly, I will tell you, I have listened to Beach Money repeatedly, actually several different times. And if you haven't read it or listened to it, it's totally worth checking out for sure. So one of the things that I often say, I always talk about people who are connectors, and that connectors have a ton of value. And one of the things you mentioned in your book was that at the time you wanted to have the biggest Rolodex. Why do you think that matters so much?
Well, I noticed this came from really reading books by like Harvey McKay, who wrote Swimming with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive. He talks about the value of the Rolodex and connecting people. And I really, after reading that, I realized that the people that are the most successful in business and in life, they have more friends. They have larger Rolodexes, and if you're under 30 and you don't know what 35 and you don't know what a Rolodex is, it's like the old school version of a contact manager, of an electronic contact manager. It's the old school. It's what the spindle that had all the business cards in it. Yeah. And so I decided I wanted to be the guy that had a big Rolodex. But also I've learned that one connection has the potential to change lives. I've experienced this so many times. In my network marketing business, I know that when a certain individual joins your team and that person is well connected and the timing is right and they're willing to go to work, that one person, as a result of connections with people, that one person can lead to thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of new distributors and customers, which ultimately will increase everybody's checks. So, but even more than that, I have specific people that I can pinpoint in my life that just the day that I met them, because somebody connected me with them, magic happened. Right. And so I look for opportunities to put great people together. And in the beginning, you may just be getting started in business and you might perceive that you don't know a lot of great people. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But if you can take two people that have something going on and put them together, magic happens. And, I have an opportunity now, I've had multiple opportunities to meet with Richard Branson personally, and I haven't met him yet, but I know I will. I just had another invitation to meet with him personally, and I'm going to be speaking at an event, actually at the Association of Network Marketing Professionals event in Dallas. But it's a result of one connection. I put this individual in touch with a woman that I know that did a lot of work with Tony Robbins. They developed a friendship. She introduced him to Tony Robbins' CEO. As a result of that, Tony's involved in this project, and then Richard Branson got involved. And so just by putting people together, you can create some really cool projects that ultimately, a lot of times, you get credit for, even though you really didn't do much. You just put the people together. And so, and then what happens is, once you've created some of those opportunities, then new people, you get introduced to new people, which creates new opportunities. So I think personally, it's probably it doesn't take a lot of energy to introduce two people to each other, but in terms of the return on the time and investment of doing that, there's nothing more powerful than putting two great people together and then letting that relationship evolve, and you become part of the mix, and it turns into some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's totally right, and I think that some of the people that I admire the most in business are people who, I see them as connectors. Like there are people that I'm just like, oh yeah, well they introduced me to this person, and so I value them.
Sure.
So one thing I love, getting to your business, right? As we talked about, you're one of the top earners, or you're the top earner at Send Out Cards. One of the things I love about that business is it's all about pushing out good into the world. The world needs more of that. Do you think that pushing out good can actually be a differentiator in business?
It's not only it's not just a differentiator. I think in many cases it's the differentiator.
Yeah.
For many different reasons. Our founder Cody Bateman has a saying that appreciation wins over self-promotion every time. And most businesses, they market themselves through promotion, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But promotion is not nearly as effective today as it was a number of years ago because of the internet. It's so easy for people to access information today. The differentiator really happens in the relationship, and the proof of this is go to your mailbox and pull everything that comes in your mailbox that day. Just pull it out and take notice of what you throw away, what gives you a pit in your stomach, and what makes you feel good. Anything that's advertising or promotion typically gets thrown straight into the trash. Right. But anything that's appreciation gets saved and cherished. When somebody gets something in the mail that has a picture of their family on it, they're going to cherish it. Or their dog or their baby, but if they get something in the mail that has a discount offer or half price if you do this, this, and this, normally that stuff goes straight to the trash. Right. So your mailbox is kind of like can be a barometer as to what you personally value versus what you don't value, and as the kind of the proof that appreciation does win over self-promotion. And it's the law of reciprocity. When you send good out into the world, what happens? Good comes back, and it usually doesn't come back. It's not a one-to-one proposition. It's like you send out good and it comes back tenfold. Yeah. And the law of reciprocity says, and it is a law. It's like humans tend to, when you do good things for people, they tend to want to do good things back for you. Yeah. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah.
And it has to be in the intention of giving without expecting anything in return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're
So
totally
you're not expecting anything back, because that's promotion. When you send something out to expect something back, then it becomes promotion. But when you send something out to touch another human being in a positive way, something that's going to make a difference for them and make them feel better about themselves in some way, a compliment, congratulations, recognizing them for some accomplishment, recognizing their birthday, whatever it is, anything you can do to help another person, lift another person up in some way, is going to leave a positive impact on their life.
Yeah.
So, and that's really what we do at Send Out Cards.
Yeah, it's about intent, right? And if your intention is to be sincere, it shows.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Jordan, I give everybody 3 questions. I give you a chance to ask me one. Do you have a question for me?
You bet, Kirby. So the question I would have for you is, how has doing this show impacted your life?
It's a great question. So one of the things that I found is I started this, Jordan, I was like, it just feels like the right thing to do. I'm going to share platforms with people, get to know people. And quite frankly, it'll be pushing out good. It'll be pushing out value to hopefully salespeople, entrepreneurs, that sort of thing. And it's led me down a road where not only have I done that and developed a bit of a personal brand because of it, but man, each week is like a class, right? Yeah. I get to learn from people like you, and I'm not just blowing sunshine. There's a ton of value in each one of these for me. And so whenever I'm coming up with questions for each of the guests, I really try to come up with questions that I want to learn the answer to. And so not only has it been a great content and a personal branding exercise for me, and it certainly has led to business relationships, but I keep thinking it's my weekly class. And that's what I think has been the most valuable for me.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Well, cool, man. I really appreciate you taking the time, Jordan. I really do. And maybe we'll have to do it again sometime.
Sounds great. Thanks for the info.
You bet. That wraps up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching, but wait! Can you do me a favor? Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it already. The way to do it's right over here. And hey, if you want to watch the last episode, check that out over here. Again, before you leave, subscribe!